landmark bill to protect same-sex and interracial marriages. Now, you thought that interracial marriage has not been a big deal in the United States for approximately 50, maybe 60 years. And you'd be right. The whole purpose of shoving interracial marriage into the same-sex marriage bill was to pretend that if you oppose same-sex marriage, it is the same thing as if you oppose interracial marriage, that racism and quote-unquote homophobia, that these are all the same phenomenon, that really it's all about bigotry and evil. That's the reason why they shoved all of this into the same bill, so that if you voted against the federal enshrinement of same-sex marriage, then you were also voting against federal enshrinement of interracial marriage, right? It's a particularly vicious and stupid game. But Joe Biden was out there celebrating this. They had a star-studded event with music and wonderful guests. We'll get to some of their guests in just a little while because these really are the
Dude, he's so mad. He's so mad. I mean, this is kind of fun to watch. Like, yeah, it's like the bare minimum that the Democrats did, and like, it's the bare minimum that the Democrats did, and it still was able to like trigger the fuck out of Ben Shapiro.
Cream of the American crop. It's the best that Western civilization has to offer. President Biden on Tuesday afternoon signed the Respect for Marriage Act into law, according to the Washington Post, granting federal protections to same-sex and interracial couples, marking a milestone in the decades-long fight for marriage equality. And so I think that it's important to note here that what we saw yesterday at the White House is the beginning. It is not the end. Everybody who's pretending that this was the end point of the same-sex marriage movement, that the end point of the LGBTQ minus plus divided by sign movement is going to be same-sex marriage is dead wrong. And Joe Biden said that out loud yesterday. And it is very clear that the goal here, the goalposts keep moving. They keep moving because in the end, what the LGBTQ plus minus divided by sign movement is about is not merely the idea that they should be able to live the lives that they want without being bothered in the privacy of their own homes. The idea is that the ideology that undergirds their belief system must be imposed on you. You as a religious person in your daily life, you in your schools, you in your churches. The notion that this is going to stop is just a lie. It is not true. And as proof, I would like to offer this clip of Joe Biden circa 2006, because the goalposts have moved. I've mentioned this before. The goalposts moved from the reasonable to the not reasonable to the insane. They moved from, we wish to lead our sexual lives as we want without you interfering in our bedroom. And Americans, for a very long time, said that's fine. Even sodomy laws, for example, that were on the books in many states were generally not enforced, even in the years well leading up to Lawrence.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. So just take it off the books. No, of course, no. That's taking away our traditional values. No one should fucking suck. No anal, no oral.
Texas. So they said, just leave us alone. We don't want to be criminalized in terms of our private activity. Fine. Then it turned into, we just want civil unions so that if we are in a relationship with a member of the same sex, these people can visit us at the hospital and they can be in our wills just by nature of law. And many Americans are like, okay, that's totally fine. All right, makes sense. In fact, it was Mitt Romney in Massachusetts who was one of the first people to sign into law civil unions in the state of Massachusetts. Then it was, well, it's not enough for us to have them called civil unions. We want them to be called marriage. We want the same moral respect as a traditional marriage. And a lot of people say, well, hold up a second. This isn't the same phenomenon. And you can say a lot of things about same-sex relationships, but it is very difficult to claim they have the same societal value as traditional male-female dyads producing children, which is what the institution of marriage is predicated upon. The institution of marriage is just an enshrinement of the simple biological fact that men and women combine to create children and then raise those children. That is all that marriage is. You can pretend that other forms of relationship are equivalent. You can pretend that other forms of relationship have similar societal value. They do not. So a lot of people say, well, no, hold up just a minute. But the case that the left made on this was that marriage really isn't about the production of children. It's really not about creating family units. Marriage is just about who you love. And once they had redefined that, and they'd actually done this well in advance of same-sex marriage, they'd done.
I mean, marriage as a concept is a social contract that is enforced by the state, that's totally created by the state. It's just like so incredibly strange to act like it's this natural phenomena that's naturally occurring phenomena, especially when you like appeal to nature. You realize that like nature is gay as fuck too. It's especially gay. Nature is trans as fuck too. You know, odd that like Ben would try to make this concept work. But marriage is an institution. What? What is this tweet? Today, I randomly decided to try a special gummy and thought it would be a great idea to eat a salmon cream cheese bagel laying down in bed, and I just realized I'm now covered in salmon juice, bagel crumbs, and capers. It was delicious, and now I am delicious. What about all the animals that are sexually atypical, like seahorses or hyenas? That's what I'm saying. Like the claim that like also marriage is about like children. I don't know what to tell you. Like there are couples who can't have children. You know what I mean? There are male and female bonding couples that also can't have kids. So what's up with that? They just can't fucking. Rihanna, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. So they're just not supposed to be married. D Pipes, thank you for the 3 gifted subs.
Done this with regard to, for example, no-fault divorce. The idea being that there wasn't anything sacred about marriage. There wasn't anything unifying or creative of a family unit about marriage. It was just about who you loved. So if you didn't love somebody, then divorce was totally on the table. So no-fault divorce is fine. Once marriage had been redefined as just love between two individual human beings, then of course same-sex marriage fell under that rubric. So many Americans were like, even there, they were like, okay. And then it moved to, well, now, if you are a person who doesn't actually believe that same-sex marriage and traditional marriage are morally equivalent, you still must celebrate same-sex marriage in every aspect of your life. It's very important that you do so. And your kids must be taught about this stuff at the earliest possible age. When your kids go to school, they must learn that same-sex marriage and traditional marriage are exactly the same, that all forms of sexual activity are equivalently moral and decent and fulfilling and good. Okay, that's how far the ball has moved. And it's moved really far, really fast. And this is why I say that when the left says we got what we wanted here, they're lying. They're lying. When they said same-sex marriage was the end point, it is not the end point. It is the beginning point. Here is Joe Biden circa 2006 talking about why there was no necessity for a constitutional amendment to protect traditional marriage. He says there's no real reason for this sort of thing. The reason, why would we need a constitutional amendment to protect traditional marriage as the definition of marriage in federal law? After all, who would be pushing such a thing? Who would be pushing the idea of redefining marriage? Here's Joe Biden, 2006. Tucker Carlson showed this clip last night.
The world's going to Hades in a handbasket. We are desperately concerned about the circumstance relating to avian flu. We don't have enough vaccines. We don't have enough police officers. And we're going to debate the next 3 weeks, I'm told, gay marriage, a flag amendment, and God only knows what else. I can't believe the American people can't see through this. We already have a law, the Defense of Marriage Act, where we've all voted, not where I voted and others said, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Nobody's violated that law. There's been no challenge to that law. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman.
That was Joe Biden in 2006. It is now 2022. 16 years is not all that long a time. And now Joe Biden is on the lawn at the White House celebrating same-sex marriage being enshrined into federal law without proper protections for people who disagree that same-sex marriage is on the same moral par as traditional marriage. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff, is it not? And it suggests that when people like Joe Biden say in 2006 that same-sex marriage is not on the table, they are lying to you. They are not telling you the truth. And when they deny outright that, for example, that when they say, we're not coming after your religious community, we're not coming after...
Like, I don't even think, like, it's not like Joe Biden had a change of heart or anything. It just became, like, the politically fashionable thing to advocate for. Okay? And that's pretty much it. But also, why are you still bent about it? Because Ben Shapiro himself on the Joe Rogan Experience routinely fucking talked about how when everyone was forced into submission by big LGBTQ, Ben also made it seem like he wasn't homophobic. That has changed. If you look at like 2016 Ben, even he had like lib-ass takes on gay marriage because there were like the gays, the fucking gays for Trump movement, and like it was not even a thing that people could talk about, you know, because everybody understood, yeah, it's perfectly valid for two people to get married and have the state recognize their legal marriage. Oh, like if we're gonna go back and account for people's sentiments from 16 years ago, back then Ben literally was talking about, okay, Ben himself. If you look at Ben Shapiro's own personal work in the early 2000s, Ben was literally fucking writing about how, you know, you turn homosexual, You turn homosexual by taking an English class.
For your church, we're not coming after your religious school. We're not coming after your business. They're lying. It's not true. We'll get to more on this in just 1 second. First, are you tired of overpaying for your wireless network? Get talk, text, and blazing fast data for just $30 a month. Pure Talk gives you the same network, the same towers, the same coverage as the other guys at half the price. Happy Hanukkah, everybody, and Merry Christmas as well. I'm a Pure Talk customer. I can tell you firsthand, switching to Pure Talk saves you money without sacrificing on coverage because you're using the exact same tower network as one of the big guys. Pure Talk's US-based customer service team makes the switch incredibly easy, and you can feel good knowing you're supporting a veteran-owned business. Here's the best part. When you go to puretalk.com and enter code Shapiro, you'll save an additional 50% off your very first month of coverage. There's no reason to pay Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile over $80 a month for wireless services when you can get the same service on the same network at Pure Talk for half the price. Head on over to Pure Talk. You'll love the gift.
Oh my God, it's
going to lead to emotions of family, separated from religious community.
The saddest part is the real ads at the top of the hour, the 3-minute long ones, are completely skippable as long as you subscribe. You know what I mean? Been in 2006.
Shapiro is the author.
This is his first ever TV interview in 2006. Anyway, if you no longer want to see those ads at the top of the hour, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free. Okay? You know, that's the way to avoid the top of the hour ad break, baby. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. And plenty of people gift subs to allow you to avoid said ads at the top of the fucking hour. No, let the hair flow. Bro, I'm eating. Never seen a single HasanAbi ad, lifelong sub. Let's go. Rainy draws a lot. Thank you for the gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads. Also, we have a hype. One of these yellow peppers. Oh, it's giving me hiccups.
Separated
it was so
from
spicy.
People who share any perspective on the world about a higher good. All those intermediate institutions will be destroyed. And in the end, it will just be you and the state and nothing in between. And that is the goal that Joe Biden is actively attempting to pursue right here. The obliteration of those intermediate...
Shit, you really are white passing? What do you mean? I fucking love yellow peppers, bro. I love spice.
Institutions, by the way, is not going to make America stronger. It's going to make America insanely weaker. It's going to lead to an incredible rise in depression, in polarization, in suicidal ideation. People without any sort of intermediate societal structures...
Yellow peppers aren't spicy? What? Bro, first of all, motherfucker, I love spice, okay? Yellow peppers can be fucking insanely spicy. What the fuck are you talking about? This is not like a bell pepper. It's not a banana pepper. This is a spicy yellow pepper. And some of these can be incredibly spicy. It's not like super spicy. I can fucking... You know, I can eat these one by one or whatever, but doesn't matter. That shit is white people spicy. No, this is like... What are you talking about? This 100% is a spicy... I'm tasting it right now. Are those pickled? Yeah, they are.
Tend to founder. They tend to be chaotic and confused. They don't have any sort of guidance. They don't know what the rules are. They feel as though they're on a desert island except for a distant state, which tells them that they should be happy because they have nothing to be tied to. But human beings don't actually exist as atomized individuals in the world. That is not how human beings actually work. We are not atomized individuals in the world. We are part of families. We are part of communities. We are part of things larger than ourselves. And that thing can't just be Joe Biden at the White House celebrating as the height of American life, radical individual autonomy. That is not enough. That cannot support a durable society. That's been the case that the left's been making for a very, very long time, is that the durable...
I don't get it. Why is Ben all of a sudden a rugged collectivist when he's talking about like what societal rules everybody should follow? I thought he wanted radical individual autonomy for Americans. I thought that was at the heart of Americanism, being an American. Am I crazy? Fuck's he talking about?
The most durable or important form of society is the one where there are no standards and no rules, except for a society that mirrors back at you what you are feeling at any given moment. That is not a society. That is a chaotic, anarchic, bizarre amalgamation of chaotic tyranny.
It's so weird. Technically, undermines said civil liberties. Well, not for this one, because now it has congressional approval, so good luck unwinding that. But you know, it's very strange that he plays fast and loose with like what his true perspective is.
On one hand, and bizarre chaos on the other. It's almost an anarchic tyranny. Like on the very local level, it's anarchy because you don't have any intermediate institutions. And on the national level, it's tyranny to enforce the anarchy, to obliterate all of those intermediate institutions. That is really what this is about. Again, this is why he keeps saying this is a first step. So Joe Biden says, by the way, there is nothing more decent, more dignified, or more American than two dudes getting married or two ladies getting married and forcing people of traditional bent to bow to their whims.
When a person can be married in the morning and thrown out of a restaurant for being gay in the afternoon, this is still wrong. Wrong. And that's why the people you heard speak today continue to fight to pass the Equality Act.
Okay, the Equality Act goes way further than what exactly was in the same-sex marriage bill. The Equality Act basically obliterates all individual rights in the name of the government telling you that you have to abide by Joe Biden's view of same-sex marriage or gender identity or sexual orientation. By the way, this is...
Like, ideology aside, conservatives are so, like, they're so annoying. Like, even if we for a second forget about, like, the impact, like the human impact of like following through on their policy proposals are, like with respect to undermining civil liberties and stuff, their entire worldview revolves around being a fucking nuisance. Like, I can't be happy if someone else out there is being happy. It's like such a weird complaint, you know what I mean? And even if you were to flip the script and be like, well, liberals do that too, it's like, well, okay, what is giving you happiness? Being racist to fucking marginalized communities? Because, like, then you're, again, you are a piece of shit. You know, it's like it's so weird that even if you look at this, like, weird, arbitrary, incomplete left-right dichotomy, it's always like, people on supposedly on the left or ostensibly on the left, like they're looking to open up more civil liberties and rights for marginalized communities. And then people who are ostensibly on the right, or those who call themselves centrists but are actually on the right, their entire worldview revolves around like, you're giving them civil liberties. That's hurting me. That's hurting me. It's like, why? Why do you care? It's not like they're coming over to suck your dick, dude. Nobody wants that, okay? Your wife doesn't even want to suck your cock, Ben. Like, why? Why is that? Why is this? Why is endlessly pestering people who just want to live their fucking lives the way of the right? Like, why is that every fucking piece of, like, tangible legislative goal that they have? It's so strange. Like, when gay people get married, that doesn't mean straight people are now not allowed to get married, okay? No one's doing that, okay? The left is not the same as the right. It's so strange that they do the same thing with abortion. It's like, if someone has the capacity to get this medical procedure, an abortion, that doesn't mean women who don't want to get an abortion are going to be forced at gunpoint to get an abortion. And yet they make it seem like that is the case. It's like, oh, well, someone's out there getting an abortion. That means, my wife is going to be forced at gunpoint to get an abortion. Someone's out there getting gay married. That means these homosexuals are going to come suck my cock too. I'm going to get gay married now, hypothetically. It's like, no. No, it's just other people's shit. Why are you so bent? Why are you so fucking mad? So even when you, like, remove the policy and the human consequences of said policy, and you just look at it as like a negative rule or a positive one, it's like everything that conservatives and the conservative worldview revolves around is always like, well, you're doing violence to me by, doing whatever the fuck you want to do. When it's like, no, they're not. No, they're not.
This is not happening on a wide scale across the United States. I'm not aware anywhere, actually, this is happening, where people who are gay are walking into a restaurant and are being turned away specifically because they are gay. What is happening is that you will see a gay couple who is specifically targeting a religious baker, like they did in the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, for destruction, walking into the cake shop, demanding that this baker celebrate their predilections and their activities. And then the baker saying, I'm not going to celebrate that. I'm happy to sell you a cake that we have right here. This is exactly what happened in the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, by the way. The baker, Jack Phillips, literally said to them,
fucking bot could understand is like a bad thing. And yet for some fucking reason, these guys just cannot see that.
here's a cake. I will sell it to you. But I'm not going to use my creative abilities to celebrate your activity. And they sued him in Colorado, and it cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and he won. And then another couple came by and tried to force him to bake a cake celebrating a gender transition. The targeting will not stop, because until all of society mirrors the individual.
Interesting, he doesn't take down other people's famous jet tracking out. No, he's taking all of them now. No, no, they did. They did take his account down. They also took the kid's account down too, Jack Sweeney, the kid who did it originally. He took everything down. First, he took the kid's account down and all of his other subsequent accounts, like the Tesla company jet tracker or the SpaceX company jet tracker. But then he turned around and took all of them down to be like, well, it's actually, not hypocritical because I decided a new rule on free speech. And now he's just going after everybody.
Sexual preference of people on the left. All of society must be reshaped, and all of those institutions must be torn down, and individuals must be bulldozed. Individual rights must be bulldozed. Again, this is I'm going to say it 1,000 times because it's still true. There is no end to this slippery slope. The right moderates in America, they keep thinking, okay, if we just feed this alligator to this point, it will stop. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. It's going to get a lot more radical. And it's not just going to be about the obliteration of the institutions that you rely upon, the institutions that teach your kids, the obliteration of your morality. It's going to be about the obliteration of gender as well. And Joe Biden, in the middle of the speech celebrating same-sex marriage, for example, he decided to link together many, many different things that are not the same. So he says that racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, and transphobia are all connected. So in other words, the same sort of person who opposes same-sex marriage must hate Jews. That's all.
What's this argument, dog? Like, you're like, no, I just hate gays. I don't hate Jews. Like, is that what you're saying? Listen, get it right. I personally only hate trans people, not Jews. It's just weird that other people who hate trans people also seem to hate Jews, as we found out from the latest Kanye West saga. But, that's always going to be forever a surprise to me, because I refuse to recognize that there is there is this connection of hate and bigotry. It's intersectional.
It's a lie. That is not true. The same sort of person who does not believe that children should be trans, that you shouldn't be giving 6-year-old hormone treatments and 16-year-olds breast removals, that is the sort of person who hates black people. This is just nonsense. The only thing holding together the intersectional coalition is opposition to traditional values and traditional institutions. That's the only.
Hopefully your Grimes DMs were on Twitter and not IG. Oh, I definitely DM'd Grimes on Twitter. If my fucking account gets blasted, you know what happened. 100%. I'm sure he's already read them, though. Like, let's be real. I'm almost certain he's read every single fucking DM that Grimes has ever sent to anyone. I love Ben Shapiro fucking riding. He's literally just like, listen. Some homophobes are anti-Semitic, but not all homophobes are anti-Semitic. There's a distinction.
That's the only way you can even make sense of what Joe Biden is saying right here. It's so nonsensical.
Racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, they're all connected. But the antidote to hate is love. This law and the love it defends strike a blow against hate in all its forms.
By the way, if you disagree with him, you're hateful and he hates you and you should be destroyed. That's the kind of love he means. It's smiley face fascism, right? You put a heart on it, and then
Yeah, fascists notoriously love gay people and trans people.
it's really nice. It's love, guys. It's love. When he walks into your church and says that you need to do things the way he wants you to do them. When he walks into your business, because it turns out that religious people are religious throughout their lives, not just at church. When he walks into your business and demands that you celebrate particular types of activity that you find to be sinful or wrong, then that's a form of love, according to Joe Biden. He makes this clear, by the way. If you say you should not perform mutilating surgery on 15-year-old girls who wrongly believe they are boys, this means that if he says that we have to compel...
That's crazy because it doesn't seem like Joe Biden said that at all. I mean, I'm no big city lawyer, but it didn't seem like Brandon was saying that.
Compel you to do those things. That we have to punish you for saying, for example, that a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. Then that's a form of love. The highest form of love is Joe Biden and the state cudgeling you into acceptance of the new morality. Which is why Joe Biden in the middle, again, this is an event celebrating same-sex marriage, right? Theoretically, it should have nothing whatsoever to do with transgenderism. These are two very separate issues. I know many, many gay men and women who are married and who also oppose the transing of the kids. These are not related issues unless you actually believe that all of it is directed toward the destruction of something else. It's unity in an attempt to destroy.
I love that he says these are not related issues and then turns around and relates them. He's like, these are not related issues unless they are, but they're related because the underlying goal is destroying Western society. Like, you're the one who's relating them, bro. What the fuck? Sisyphus! Thank you for the 50 get the subs. Transing 50 children. That's crazy, bro.
That is the only reason why there would be an alliance here. Why exactly is Joe...
It happened already.
Joe Biden at a same-sex marriage celebration event talking about the repeal of laws that prevent the mutilation of children? Why? The answer is because there's an underlying ideology there which says that sex, like biological sex, is of no consequence whatsoever. It's true in marriage and it's true on the individual level, according to Joe Biden. Here we go.
We need to challenge the hundreds of callous and cynical laws introduced in the states targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors who give children the care they need. We have to protect these children so they know they're loved.
Okay, what exactly does this have to do with anything? What does it have to do with same-sex marriage? It has nothing to do with it, except, again, that this is the first step. What we're watching here is just another step. That slippery...
It's almost like you originally, like in 2019, said things like, oh, gay marriage is fine, just the trans people I don't care for. And now you're saying, oh shit, gay marriage is not fine either. It's almost like there is a level of bigotry that is like kind of acceptable, like overt bigotry that's kind of acceptable and normalized in society that Ben is very aware of. And because Joe Biden is also aware of that, everyone is aware of that. Anyone who pays attention to politics is aware of this. That in order to ensure that civil liberties are not further undermined, they wanted to codify this. Maybe that's the reason why they did it. Like, especially so, if it was completely irrelevant, if it was completely silly, if it was just like nonsensical, if it was nothing, Ben wouldn't cut 30 to 40 minutes of it, right? I mean, if it's nothing, if it's irrelevant, then why are you so bent? Why are you so fucking bent out of shape? Why?
slippery slope ain't close to the bottom. There is no bottom to the slippery slope that we are now on, societally speaking. And Joe Biden is making that perfectly clear. And they made this perfectly clear in who they decided to invite to this event. So Karine Jean-Pierre, the world's most untalented press secretary, she was saying yesterday that extreme conservatives are going to attack the Respect for Marriage Act, but they're going to sell. You have to be an extreme conservative to believe that traditional marriage is the basis for human civilization. You have to be a crazy person, basically, to think man, woman, child is the basis for functional civilizations. You see how far we've come in 16 short years?
I mean, yeah, and I think it was silly back then, and it is silly now to advocate for such a thing. I mean, primitive accumulation was longer.
2011. Right, it's now 2022. Haven't been that long. But you're an extreme conservative nut job.
Oh, God. It's just like they're two sides of the same coin. Barack Obama didn't give a fuck about gay people one way or the other in 2007. He was just going along with what is considered to be politically fashionable at the time. Just like Ben has always hated gay people. I'm fairly certain that Barack Obama probably didn't fucking hate gay people in 2007. Okay? It's the same exact principle. Ben knows it so well because he abides by it. Ben was always anti-gay marriage. He wrote about it extensively. And then there was a period of time where he shut the fuck up about it. Like when he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and said, oh, well, you know, I'm not a theocratic fascist, as I showed you earlier. Okay? It's about what is deemed acceptable because these people are political demons. Okay? Unlike myself, a person who gets routinely punished for having consistent takes that some find unfavorable. Okay? A person who sometimes will get things wrong and will openly admit that they got something wrong and will apologize and move on. That's the difference between someone like myself and someone like Ben. Ben reads the room and reassesses and, tries to fucking cut his commentary on what is deemed acceptable to the masses. Okay? That's the difference. And he's like shitting on Barack Obama for that lack of lack of consistency, or shitting on fucking Joe Biden for that lack of consistency, but he himself has done it as well. They're doing the same bullshit. They're doing the same fucking bullshit. He's criticizing Barack Obama and Joe Biden, but he believes the same. He's just on the other side, and he's doing the exact same thing, but on the other side.
If you believe the exact same things that Joe Biden was saying out loud in 2006 on national television. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre.
You say there's more work to do, or is he endorsing additional work to try and change?
I don't have anything to preview from here. As I said, there are extreme conservatives who are going to continue to attack this, who want to take away fundamental rights. We saw what happened just in June with the Dobbs decision. And so you should take that very, very seriously. But again, this is an important day, and we're going to celebrate this day.
I mean, by the way, Karine Jean-Pierre, right there, right? She's asked, what's next? She said, well, I'm not going to tell you. We don't have anything to preview. But obviously there is something next. I mean, Joe Biden is previewing it in his speeches. She then proceeded to blow off a question from a White House correspondent named Owen Jensen from Eternal Word Television Network, EWTN. He was following up on the suggestion that protecting marriage equality would result in discrimination against religious organizations, which it undoubtedly will. And she just blew him off. She just said, I'm going to move on. She just cut him off because she won't answer the question. Because again, there is no moral line that the left is willing to draw that distinguishes people of religious faith or people who disagree with them from simple bigotry. They truly believe that if you disagree with them, you are a bigot, and society ought to quash your point of view. It's very important. And what society really ought to celebrate is, again, that interior sense of sexual authenticity that makes you you, the most important thing about you. That's the thing we have to glorify here in the United States, which is the only reason why you would invite a non-binary drag queen named Marty G. Cummings to the White House. We'll get to more on this in just 1 second. First, it is a very important thing to have life insurance. If you're a responsible human being, he likes bleep, complete with pictures of erect penises. This is the person that the White House invited to celebrate. It was very important the White House invited this person to celebrate because, again, it's not just that all monogamous relationships are the same. It's that all sexual activity is the same. All forms of sexual authenticity are the same. And your children must be taught this. They must be taught this in schools. Why do you think that Joe Biden and the NEA are so insistent that laws like Florida's, which say that you are not allowed to teach sexual orientation and gender identity nonsense to 5-year-old children, why do you think the White House opposes that exactly? Why is the White House against it? Seems like
I don't know, maybe because like that's a thing that exists in the real world, and no one would ever oppose like heteronormative relationships being taught in school. But the reason why you oppose the other thing is because you're just personally against it. It's just a reality. I mean, getting mad at that is just getting mad at like reality being taught in school. You are offended by reality and you don't want it being taught in school. That's it.
pretty common sense sort of thing. Turns out a majority of Democrats support that law in the state of Florida. And nationwide, by the way, by polling data. But the left opposes that. Because again, the idea is that all of the institutions of life crimp your style. And so we must teach children. It's important to teach children, to indoctrinate children in the same sort of idea.
Ben is actually right. A baker should be allowed to refuse service to a gay couple. The same way Home Depot should have refused to sell Ben a plank of wood off the basis of how it's morally wrong to imply a Goomba of his stature does any handiwork. Except gay people definitely eat cake. Whereas Ben definitely never used that wooden plank. You know what I mean? That was very funny, though. Good job. He said Goomba.
Is promoted by Marty G. Cummings. That is the way that we will all be truly free in the future. Here is Marty G. Cummings in a video that is pure nightmare fuel.
Just like Christianity can't be taught in schools.
So
I like big.
this person is invited to the White House.
I want a thick.
Very important. This is the best America has to offer. Invited to the White House.
I don't get it. What, did they do that at the White House? That'd be kind of funny. Like, did they do that song and dance at the White House? Because that would be fucking awesome. Okay, imagine Brandon having a fucking aneurysm. Like, I don't get it. Like, Donald Trump literally said you can grab him by the pussy, and he became president. He also had, like, Kid Rock and Ted Nugent in the White House. They've said way worse shit. Kid Rock wants to fuck 14-year-olds, dude. Like, Kid Rock has songs about having sex with underage women, underage girls. And he was in the fucking White House.
I don't want your drink. I want your dick.
How delightful.
To have sex with a different guy each week.
That's kind of funny, though. Like, these guys are the groomers, you know what I mean? Not Kid Rock or Ted Nugent. People who have had sex with minors or have talked about having sex with minors and wrote songs about having sex with minors. Like, those guys aren't the groomers, though, because they're straight.
So that's 52 guys in the whole.
That's enough of that. This is it.
Yeah, Kid Rock literally said, some say it's statutory, I say it's mandatory. That's a real Kid Rock lyric from Osmosis Jones. Wonderful movie.
Again, there's only one reason that the White House would do this. I didn't say that this person should go to the White House. Joe Biden said this person should go to the White House. Of course, this follows hard on 4 weeks ago, Joe Biden having over to the White House Dylan Mulvaney, a man who says that he is a woman, dressed up in the most garish outfit, and sitting across from him explaining to this...
Bro, if you use the word garish, you're literally 3 steps removed from sucking a cock when you're describing an outfit. I'm sorry. That's fucking fruity. That's fruity as hell, bro. Don't do that. I mean, come on. It's such a garish outfit. Come on, dude.
This man who decided he was a woman approximately 1 year ago, that he is a perfect exemplar of womanhood. This is part and parcel of a broader agenda, and that broader agenda obviously has to do with kids. By the way, it is worth noting here that this Marty G. Cummings character also happens to be a drag queen who performs in front of children and then celebrates performing in front of children. In fact, just last year, this person did a drag show in front of small children and tweeted out.
Not large children, but small children.
Logan was one of the kids who came out to celebrate Pride at Queens Botanical Garden. He was so excited and said he wants to perform with us next year. The kid is maybe 5 in that photo. So,
sorry about that burp, chat. I thought I muted myself before I burped.
obviously, this has to do with the children. It's the only reason why, again, the Biden administration is attempting to lump all of this together. They don't have to lump all of this together. They don't have to talk about how the laws protecting children from being mutilated are the same as same-sex marriage laws. They don't have to talk about the Equality Act.
Dude,
They
my
don't have to talk
mouth
about
was
any of this.
open. It's like I fucking burped into your mouth, dude. You like that.
This is not the end point. This is only the beginning. And when I warn that, people on the left immediately say, slippery.
Shut up, dude. You're a Disney adult. Like, you literally made your children watch every drag queen villain that Disney has to offer until you decided that Disney's actually, making protagonists that are also gay, okay? Like, you don't get to speak about this drag performance in front of children. It's theater. Shut the fuck up.
Slope argument. Well, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I've been arguing since the mid-2000s that it was moving in this direction. And it turns out that you have justified every fear that traditionally religious and people of traditional values have had for 30 years in this country, 40, 50 years in this country. You've justified all of that by continuing to move along this line. And then when you say it's the end point, again, the idea is we don't believe you. Why should we believe you? I see no reason to believe you exactly. Joe Biden says, the good news is that as more and more Americans come to understand what this is all about is a simple proposition. Who do you love? And will you be loyal to the person you love? And that's what people are finding out. It's what all marriages at their root are about, whether they're marriages of lesbians or gay men or heterosexuals. Again, he's still out there pitching the old playbook while having people to the White House who obviously are not participating in the old playbook. He's not using the model of marriage and then applying it to two people of the same sex. Supposedly, that's what the bill is about. That's not what the bill is about. The bill is about a broader rubric under which anybody who opposes the idea that all forms of sexual activity and sexual identity are morally equivalent, all those people are treated as pariahs and bigots and ought to be excised by American society and treated the same way that we treat racists in the United States. That's really what folks on the left want. So, amazing stuff there from Joe Biden. And we can pretend as a society that we are durable enough to withstand it, an assault on all of the intermediate institutions of our society, ranging from family to church. We're going to find out in real short order. I have serious doubts whether that is in fact the case. And actually what this is going to end up creating in the United States, blue states are going to be the first to start implementing all of Joe Biden's whims. It's not going to happen at the federal level because there's still checks and balances at the federal level that prevent this sort of thing. The Supreme Court, for example, will presumably attempt to carve out a broad area of religious freedom so that people who are religious are able to actually practice their religion in daily life. And this is the so-called Utah Compromise that presumably Justice Gorsuch has been promoting. The Utah Compromise, which frankly I don't think is a compromise that's likely to hold very long, is a quote-unquote compromise that was provided by the state of Utah, which has a very, very broad anti-discrimination law, but then has large carve-outs for religious groups. I don't think that that's going to be a durable compromise that lasts very long, simply because I believe that the people who are promoting same-sex marriage laws have no interest in compromise. I think they would like to cram this down on literally all the institutions in life or destroy those institutions. But put aside the federal level, what you're going to get at the state level is places like California that will indeed pursue attempts to get rid of nonprofit status for churches and synagogues, that will attempt to de-accredit institutions of education that do not teach the value.
I mean, there's plenty of churches and synagogues in places like California that unironically are very open towards gay people and very accepting towards gay people. But I do think that, first of all, they should do that regardless. Like, I think that why are churches a nonprofit? Like, I mean, why are churches non-taxable? Yes, I'm pissing all by myself, handsome. Yes, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, I do think that they should just do that to even churches that are welcoming and acceptable, or welcoming and accepting or whatever. But I think they should start by taxing the motherfuckers who aren't in order to get everybody in line. And then, boom, across the board, tax every church. I'm actually 100% an advocate for taxing all places of worship. Anyway.
Values that the left wants taught, to discredit homeschooling